Some great news has been announced by the European Union in recent days. It's news that will be highly beneficial for canola growers in Australia and the exporters of Australian canola. Most growers won't realise this, but in fact the exports of canola to the European Union were at some risk because of policy changes that were announced a few years ago by the European Union. Explaining a bit further, the European Union has a policy known as the Renewable Energy Directive, and a few years ago they announced changes to that policy which meant that any feedstock that was used for biodiesel production in the European Union had to verify that the production of that feedstock would deliver emission savings that would benefit the users of biodiesel and the other citizens of Europe. The European market for Australia is a really important market. We export about $1 billion worth of canola to the European Union, and that gets used in biodiesel production. But the European Union have tightened their regulations, so now any feedstock that goes into biodiesel production, and canola is one such feedstock, has to show to the European Union that the way in which that canola is grown delivers fewer emissions than mineral diesel. When AGIC and the Australian Oilseed Federation became aware of the policy change in the European Union, where those regulations were tightened, we cobbled together funds and we employed the CSIRO, who in turn collaborated with Life Cycles Proprietary Limited, and they undertook research that measured the emissions from canola production in every state of Australia to show that Australia was indeed a source of low emission canola. A report outlining their research has been reviewed by Australian experts and European experts, and it's been subject to wide-ranging review over several months in the European Commission. In December, the Commission finally announced that it accepted in total the nature of that report, and very recently there's been legislation passed that enables the implementation of the import of Australian canola into the European Union on a basis that verifies Australia is indeed a low-cost source of emissions. This means that Australian canola farmers will continue to receive a premium in the European market. At the moment, our non-GM canola receives a price premium of around about $35 a tonne, and so that $1 billion worth of canola exports that primarily goes into the biodiesel market is a lucrative price premium market for Australian growers. So the $100 million of premium that growers receive from growing non-GM canola that gets mostly used in biodiesel will continue not only next year but in subsequent years. It means that the hard work of AGIC, the Australian Oilseeds Federation, CSIRO, federal departments like the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade and the Department of Agriculture and Water Resources have collaborated to ensure that our market access to Europe continues. So this is research work that we can be proud of. It's collaborative, and it's meant that Australian exporters of canola can continue to receive access to that market, and canola growers of Australia can continue to receive those lucrative price premiums.